This is a new interactive classical saxophone family tree that I have created in order for us to trace back our lineage and learn about our classical saxophone ancestors. I had always heard about these great classical saxophonists such as Marcel Mule and Larry Teal, but I never understood how closely they were connected to my own saxophone playing. With this interactive web that I've created, you are able to explore notable saxophonists, who they studied with, who they taught, and other important information about them. This project is still a work in progress and will be indefinitely changing. I currently have over 200 people on the web and about 400 connections between them. And at the end of this video, I will talk about how you can potentially get your name on the web and help expand this thing together. So back when I was in middle school, I went to this local saxophone camp called YSI, and on one of the days during camp, you build this saxophone family tree. And it basically shows how you're connected to the teachers that are on staff at YSI, and then how they're connected to some of the saxophone greats. It was always this messy blob of names and lines connected to each other, and there was no real organization to it. So over the last few years, I've been brainstorming how I can create a saxophone family tree that is interactive, educational, and organized. It's taken me some time, but as you can see, I think I've finally done it. So as you see, when you first log into the page, it looks very crazy and messy. There's a lot going on. The web is sort of expanding itself and getting organized. I will say this is a way better exploratory experience if you're using a computer, just because you can zoom in easily and drag around very freely. So let's start exploring. If I want to click on Rousseau, I can do so just like that. His sidebar pops up and I can see his name, his birth year, death year, who he studied with, and who he taught. He has a value of 22, which is based off of how many students he has taught on the web, and therefore makes his circle bigger. I've put images for a few saxophonists on the web, mostly those who have passed. You can just explore on the web, zoom in and out, and find different people. Like here is Eric Troiano. You can pull him around, drag him, and see who he's connected to. But it gets a little messy very fast. So one of the biggest features of this website is you're able to click on someone. So let's say Frederick Hemke. You can click this little focus button in the top right corner, and it focuses just on him and his connections, who he studied with and who he taught. You can see that the arrows are that distinction. His one arrow going into him is Marcel Mule, and then you can see all of the students that he has taught. If you notice, the focus button now has an expand focus and a contract focus. If we contract focus, you can see that it just singles out Fred Hemke, and you can click the little sidebar over on the left to see all of his information. If we want to then expand the focus, we can click that up arrow and see that all his direct connections reappear. You can then expand the focus on the web as many times as you'd like until everyone has appeared just like this. As you can see, this somewhat organized web of connections encourages exploration. However, if you just want to search a name, I can go and type in my teacher, Stephen Page. I can then just focus on him and expand the focus to see who he studied with and who he taught. If you're curious to know how this is all made, I've made an extensive database in Google Sheets with both people, their information, and then their connections. As you can see, there are 218 names on the list so far, and over 400 connections. Yeah, 405. So you might be wondering how I decided who gets on the tree, and yes, that was a very hard line to set. However, if I didn't set that line, this project would be massive. I do want to reiterate that this is an educational resource and not a popularity contest. So for right now, the individuals on the tree have to meet at least one of these criteria. You are a past or present college or university level saxophone professor. You are a current or former military band saxophonist. You are a historically significant or deceased saxophonist with major contributions. And finally, you are a private teacher with a track record of students in the professional field. Like I said, that was a very hard decision to make, but for now, that criteria will decide who makes it on the tree. As mentioned previously, this project is still very much a work in progress, and there are still features that I would love to implement in the future. Because there are so many past or present military band saxophonists on the web, I've been experimenting with a view where you can only see those individuals and who they studied with. As you explore this thing yourself, you might find that I've done a pretty good job on the American side of things, but in terms of lineage outside of the US, I'm gonna need your help. So you might be wondering how you can get involved. I've created a Google form which I will include down in the video's description, and in this form you can help expand the information present in this web. This form is mainly for people who qualify to be on the web, but there's also a section for error detection in case you see any errors that I've made in the present version. This has been quite the passion project for me, and I'm super excited to release this to the public. I hope you enjoy it just as much as I am, and I encourage you to share it with fellow professors and notable saxophonists in our community. One of the beautiful things about our instrument is how young it is, and this is very present on the saxophone family tree. There are only so many generations as you reach back, and there are so many cool things and trends that you can find out as you explore through the different generations. For example, when I've been digging back and finding people to add to the web, as I reach all the way back to the very beginning of the saxophone, I find that a lot of the people learn from clarinetists, and that's such a cool thing that I didn't even realize. It's things like that that I hope you can learn from this resource, and maybe you'll find some stuff out that I haven't even found. If this resonates with you, I hope you consider sharing this video with any past or present teachers or students. Ask people to fill out the form down in the video's description to help build this thing together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.